All right, we're back again with a banger ass video. I'm calling it right now. It's gonna be one for the history books. I think we did actually pass our first year anniversary or something. Are we coming up at that?
Yeah.
Do you know
Yep.
of uploading
I'm pretty sure we're
videos?
past it.
Oops.
Yeah.
Not that we have anything planned. Last time or this time or in the future, just keep sticking by, and the good things will happen. Meaning, videos that will not be. It's a fucking anniversary of we like make up random junk of stuff. But yeah, there's no filler in the DrewPeter Pods channel of like three
Absolutely
minutes
not.
long. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the subs. Thank you for the 1 year sticking by with us. Here's our plans for the future. No, you just get the thing straight to your
Exactly.
doorstep. That is your
Straight
eardrums.
content.
Exactly. No filler on the DrewPeter channel, which includes the intro, which is over. We have the movie section. I'm gonna be real. Peter is slacking in the films once again. I think for 99% of it.
Continuously. This year has been bad for me, I guess, and movie wise.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'll just I'll binge it all and like I'll double up my movie consumption
Oh,
over the
he'll
course of the
watch two a
next
day for the second half
three
for
months or
the
so.
last
Yeah, exactly.
a third of a year. I don't know. Yeah, you
It'll
have
work
ways to
out.
redeem yourself, Peter. But I'll lead this thing section thing
Yes,
here
as you
for this
should.
episode. Where I got a couple films to discuss. One of them being this one called "They Shoot Horses, comma Don't They?" question mark from
Hmm.
1969. And this one is an absolute banger right here in the making. It's pretty sad. It's pretty brutal. It's about like in the Great Depression, there was this like dance competition thing where couples would sign up and they would just dance seemingly for an undefined amount of time. It just kind of goes on forever.
Oh,
And they would do it like against other people, and it would just go on for weeks and weeks and weeks, and just sort of slowly tear them away in their brains and bodies and whatnot. And the purpose of it is to win money for like a very
hmm.
not sort of worth it amount of money with how much health you're putting at risk for it. But it's basically just like the most desperate people in the country just gathering together and putting all their hopes into one basket for a perceived amount of time. So it's pretty sad. It's pretty messed up. I was able to predict the like ending of it, as in the very very last couple seconds of it, which people might confuse that for being a couple seconds before the very last moments of it if they've seen this film. I did not necessarily predict that part, but I predicted the part that came directly after that, which I thought was really really cool, because I was basically just like the scene before that, like the second to last, very last moment. I was like, what if it ended like this? That would be cool. And then it did, and I was like, oh shit, now that's a banger right there.
Nice.
So yeah, this one is really nice, and it's a reason that is worth checking out the oldies every once in a while, because it is from the 1960s, which is a pretty far away era thing.
I'd never heard of this movie.
Hmm.
Ben, you gave it quite a glowing review. I know Sidney Pollack, the director. I've only ever seen him I don't think I've ever watched any of his movies, but I've seen him as an actor because he's more well known as an actor, I would say.
Oh,
Kind of famously
oh
that
yeah, yeah.
the doctor in
Hmm.
Eyes Wide
Yeah.
Shut, or
Okay.
the older doctor. Um, but yeah, interesting. I'll definitely have to check that out.
Yes, sir. Did you have any films at all, or did you?
I have one that
Mm.
I could talk about. So if you want to get more under your belt,
I only have three to talk
okay.
about this time, so you could do
Well
your little
then,
thing.
I can bring to the table the one movie that I've watched over the course of two
Oh
months,
my god.
uh, which is the one and only Netflix animated movie that has really been sweeping the world. That being K-pop Demon Hunters,
Mm.
the new animated film, and it was okay. It was good. It was good. I had fairly high expectations because of how big it's gotten, and word of mouth. Bunch of my friends and family were telling me to check it out,
Hmm.
saying I might be interested. And I believe it's by the same studio that did Spider-Verse
Yeah, Sony
animation, stuff like
Animation
that.
Pictures.
Yeah, so I, went into it with fairly high expectations, and I probably should have tempered them because this is a kids movie. It feels fairly safe by the books, it's very predictable and not super interesting. A lot of the themes and like kind of, trying to like themes of finding yourself and like becoming your own person, and accepting who you are very, very surface level in this movie. The performances also are decent throughout. I thought some of the voice acting was honestly a little off-putting for me, just like kind of flat. But the vocals for all the songs are definitely stand out. That's really the thing that this movie has going for it is its soundtrack. And it's, a classic contemporary K-pop. And it runs the gambit from like super catchy, more pop tunes to, your edgier kind of trap influenced diss tracks. But it's a fun soundtrack. If you're not really into like that super contemporary pop sound, you might not really like it. But for the audience that is trying to garner, I think it worked really well. That's probably my biggest compliment to the movie was the soundtrack and also the animation. It is really well animated throughout. Art design is really cool. It's just a bit disappointing that the story and the characters are really hollow for me and were not interesting in basically any way, unfortunately. But the rest of the movie is like it's well constructed and there's enough to get out of it, so that I can understand how big it got, even though I can't really give it the most glowing recommendation.
No, yeah, this one has barely made my watch list, so I'll probably check it out at some point. I
Yeah.
don't know if it's this year or whenever.
Whenever you end up going through it, it's it'll
Because the
be
animation is cool and whatever.
it's just the fact that like I was expecting one of like a really interesting animated film because there have been like new ones that have been coming out that I thought were really worth checking out. Notably, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish I thought was had both great animation and a great story and
Yeah.
great characters, similar to the new TMNT
Yeah.
movie that came out a little while ago. I also thought like those characters and story were considerably better than what is offered here in K-pop Demon Hunters. But they both have really interesting animation to offer. So if you're strictly going for a movie that you want to kind of like it's very immersive, the set pieces and the music choreography and the action is really well implemented. But yeah, if that's what you're looking for, then I would check this one out.
Hell yeah. I also saw a very popular film that released this year, that being Superman, directed
Mm,
by the one and only James Gunn, and this was really nice, honestly. The DC film adaptations, have been in a tricky spot for a pretty long time. Basically,
yes.
the only noteworthy ones for a long while was just like the Dark Knight trilogy, and then like
Right.
most of the things made like between then and like the Batman from what was that 2022 or three.
Yeah.
Basically everything between that was a bunch of balanced between like middle of the road to just complete garbage.
Yeah,
And I
and
think
you're specifically talking about the
the one and
Snyder
only Snyder.
verse.
Yeah, I think we're
The
out of the Snyder verse stuff
yes,
with
this is
the man
the
James
first
Gunn
one.
taking the sort of wheel here. And I
Hmm.
think this is definitely a step in the right direction. It's just you know leaning heavily into the comic book archetypes rather than being trying to be like its own weird edgy sort of thing, while sort of drawing on some of the comic book thingies. I think
Hmm.
that Snyder would do. Um, but this was really nice. It was somewhat ensemble, but it still had the focus on Superman. It was not necessarily an origin story. It like took the basic ideas of like you probably know who this is, and if you don't, then here's like a very basic like overview of the man, the myth. But like you really don't need much of an intro for this character. He's just so well known in pop culture by
True.
this point. You don't like you don't need like the Amazing Spider-Man type shenanigans where it's like, okay, you just saw this 10 years ago, but you're gonna see it again now. Except worse potentially, right? Like if they tried doing like new versions of that.
That is kind of how. Sorry to interrupt,
Yeah.
but it is kind of how most superhero like origin stories are being told now, because everyone's so used to them and they've been retold, like the Batman or Spider-Man, Superman. They're all just kind of letting them be.
Yeah,
But I
I
digress.
feel like in the modern day, like the Spider-Verse, the first one is like one that started taking the steps in the direction of being like, let's be a little bit self-aware of the fact that everybody knows
Yeah,
all
we can
this is crap
streamline
about it,
this.
and we'll just like sort of pass over it. And if we want to include details about the person like a little bit, we'll do so in like a sort of stylistically in short enough fashion. And it doesn't go quite like on that level in this film. Like I'd say it even skips past like most of the stuff. It just sort of assumes that most of the stuff going on. Though there is still a lot of dialogue that is very just like expositionally based and just like treating the audience like they're 5 years old, which I get it. That's what a good chunk of the audience is going to be, either 5 years old or has the mentality of one. So, but like I don't know, it would still be nice if it just wasn't like dialogue literally just saying what is happening and like explaining like what like the setup of the certain circumstances rather than just letting us figure it out by just experiencing and watching it. And the show don't tell type mentality is a bit absent at parts of the script, but I think still despite that it's still very nice overall. Like again, it's away from the Snyder crap. It like actually feels like, whoa, I'm watching like a real comic book character do things and say silly things, and like the action's fun. The story overall I think is a good one, and like the Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor was just so great. It probably stole it in terms of acting, I guess, across the cast. And yeah, it was good and nice, and I look forward to seeing. I can't believe it. I look forward to seeing DC Cinematic Universe films. That's so weird.
Wow,
My whole life has
that
been
is
about how that's not a thing I should be feeling, but now it is somehow.
you really sold out, didn't you?
Oh yeah,
James Gunn got you.
yeah. You know, I like his other Marvel stuff. It's weird seeing him flip sides, but that's mostly just because Disney did him dirty
Or Marvel did him
from
dirty.
firing him. I just assume in my head Disney and Marvel are the same at this point.
It's all the same. Yeah, no, that's true.
Soon DC will be Disney. Oh god. And then everything will be fucked. But it's just weird and interesting that we're living in an age where, because for so long it was Marvel for films that was on top,
Right.
and now it's DC's about to, in my head, is about to do this switch up with this, and like, because I've heard good things from Thunderbolts, I've heard good things of the new Fantastic Four, but I feel like the direction this and like the Batman are heading in is going to be overall into like a stronger connected universe rather than whatever Marvel's cooking up, which is a very inconsistent bunch of like, you're sure maybe you get some good ones sometimes, which I still haven't seen those two movies, but then you get a lot of shitters.
That's part of the problem. Is like we don't feel. I haven't gone back to the MCU since I binged it through last year, and it's just like I don't feel the drive to.
No.
Even though people are talking positively about
Right.
the new Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four,
Yeah.
it's just not enough because I've been burned. I'm burned
Yeah,
out,
yeah.
and
Like you don't need these
stuff
every
you
goddamn year even like anymore.
no, and
You know, like
even
the craze is
even
past.
if it's not like, because we're still like, you're talking positively about Superman and Batman, and the reason why we're interested in like a new wave for DC is just because it seems to be like a breath of fresh air in how the movies are being told, because the MCU still seems to have that bit of a formulaic approach to
100%.
their movies. Although I've heard that these newest ones are breaking the mold to some extent, but still, it's hard to distance yourself from the association that you have to 30 movies now or something like that, that have all kind of built up the same world, same characters, and it feels like it's slowed down in their progression of like story moments, because like I feel I don't know if that's actually accurate or if it's just my recollection, but it felt like, going from like phase 2 to Endgame and like stuff like that was much quicker than, I don't know. It feels like after Endgame we've been in this
it feels
phase
aimless
without
and,
anything
like,
happening.
and drawn out.
It was
and, like,
it's kind of tough
less
because
organized.
there might have been something to do with a certain key villain in Kang.
Do you really think that fucked it up
things.
that badly? I mean, like, I don't know.
I might have been, because there was a lot of build-up, right? Like Kang was showing up in a lot of the different like shows and movies at the very end.
I don't know.
Yeah. Instead, they just scrapped it, and now they're building up.
Now Avengers Doomsday is
but are
still
they
being
even?
written as they're recording it or whatever.
Yeah, I guess it's good that I haven't been spoiled, but like I have not heard anything about Doom showing up in these movies.
Oh, like in those.
But
I just mean like in the whatever Doomsday, whenever that's coming out in like 5 years.
Whenever it comes out, yeah.
But I mean,
it just feels like it's slowed down a lot.
Yeah, 100%. And the reason like why these newer DC ones are succeeding is because like they're unique sort of takes that don't turn away from the comics or the source material. What they are, they sort of embody it and they go strong with it, and they have unique voices from the industry. Delivering all the decisions of it without like as much studio interference as I want to say for like the Marvel stuff, and they're just like more self-contained overall. It's like, here's a story on this dude, rather than like, oh, here's how this thing fits into like this wider, bigger thing, and you have to watch all these.
And this
other
character
shows
has this show, and yeah.
So it's like all those things together that's sort of contributing to DC seeming better for right now. I mean, it could flip at any time. I mean, they could release like a collab between like the Batman and Superman, and it's just as bad as Batman v Superman or something. Like I don't want that to happen, but like I'm saying it's possible. Like I don't know, but yeah,
it certainly could.
All right.
Wouldn't put it past them.
But no more superhero bullshit. I want the fucking a period piece romance drama from whatever fucking 19 has bullshit in the great old UK, but in the past. There was this film I watched called Pride and Prejudice, and this film is an absolute banger right here. It's
it kind of slaps, doesn't it?
It's an adaptation of a Jane Austen book, which I've never read any of her books. I love Little Women though. I've seen 2 of the adaptations for that. One of the there's like a 1980s one, and then there's a 18 or 19, like the whatever Greta Gerwig, I think.
Gerwig, yeah. Different author, but both female authors. So.
Wait, really?
Yeah, Little Women is Louisa.
No,
May
wait,
Alcott,
but they're like so fucking similar. The setup of this is
they definitely have similar themes.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow. But, okay, Sense and Sensibility. Who's the other author?
Yes, that is Jane Austen. Louisa May Alcott is essentially Jo in Little Women.
It's the exact same story. What do you mean it's not the same person who wrote it? That's actually nuts. Because it's like 4 or 5 sisters with the focus on the second oldest and like a romance involving that, and it's like a period drama of like what the fuck do you mean it's not the same author? That's so nuts.
They were writing at similar times. I didn't even look. So the stories were definitely influenced by one another, I believe.
It's like the Twilight 50 Shades of Grey situation. Like one is just fiction of the other. That's nuts. Okay. Well, anyways, Pride and Prejudice, not the same authors, Little Women. Actually, still a banger though. And obviously comparable.
1800
things I said. 1813
is when the book first came out for Pride and Prejudice.
1813. God damn. So it's probably at the time about when this would be. Taking place, and this is just one of the best romance stories I think ever. Like it's just really well written, and like the direction and the acting in this is so solid, and like everybody's just so into it, and it's I mean it's almost perfection, honestly. Like I think it's awesome, and it's really nice overall. I don't have too much to say about it. I just think it's it's real good.
It's so vibrant and like colorful and like. Yeah, it's very emotional, and the direction is really standout. I feel like it captures that kind of energy and wonder, but still like keeping that all the drama and like the awkwardness of these 2 main characters.
No, yeah, I want to talk about
both of them are just like.
I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah. I mean, it's what the book's been out for fucking
Hey,
200
somebody
years,
may
so
have
let's
been
see you
born
get on it.
5 days ago, and they're just watching this podcast for the first time. They let them give them their chance to check it out.
So true. I am well aware of this story because my mom and my sister love the books. I've read the book, big fan of it. And there's a famous miniseries starring Colin
Oh
Firth,
yeah,
the
I
BBC
haven't
one.
seen that. How does that compare?
It's more accurate, and so that's the thing. My mom hated this movie.
Really?
And like for the longest time, I never checked it out because
What does it
I
do so
kind
much
of trusted
differently?
her word, where it's just like not as accurate with certain scenes, just like the placement of them and the timing of them. Um,
Does it have the
like
hand
certain
flex
scenes
thing in
about
the
like
book?
yes, and
Okay.
there's yeah, there's a ton of it's just longer and more
Sure.
in depth the show, which I like just because it helps you like get even more engaged with this relationship, and the ups and downs, and the long running almost enemies to lovers type shit.
Hell yeah.
But there's this movie really blew me away when I eventually checked it out last year because I was expecting something tasteless, maybe even like inauthentic to the book. But I think it really captures the essence of the book, even if it's not as like directly accurate to whatever. It's an adaptation, and I think that the ways that it uses cinematic language to adapt the novel is really special, and I do really enjoy this book or the movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice. I'll probably check out the miniseries at some point
Yeah,
because I did like
it's a
this a lot.
great show.
Um, Man, I cannot believe that fucking Jane
It's
Austen is a
not
different
the same.
person from Louisa May
Yeah.
Alcott. Like
Yep.
it's the exact same setup. What do you mean? It didn't come from the same mind. Whatever.
Nope. About
It just
50
means that
years
I
later.
have insulted people really into either of them and be like fans of Jane Austen be like, we're not the fucking same as Louisa May Alcott. Okay, I know now. I'm sorry. Anyways, that's the films I have to discuss. I watched a bunch of bad and middling stuff, but I don't really. I feel like bringing them up because I don't have much to say about too
Real.
many of
Yeah.
them. So we got the TV show
The shows.
section here.
Yeah.
I have 5 items.
Wow. Okay.
Middling
I just
things
have
to
one.
discuss. Okay. Yeah, I've been watching some animes this season. Not all of them that I want to see. For now, I've just stuck to sequels of shows, like second seasons or like further seasons of stuff that I've already partially seen. One of them is Rent a Girlfriend. It's on its fourth season. And this is genuinely one of the worst shows I've ever seen by this point. I already hated it season 1, 2, and 3. And this is just even worse somehow. Like it's just at its absolute lowest point. I feel but here's the thing. I know it gets worse. I just can't believe it. I just can't believe that like it could actually get worse from here. Every character I hate so much. The protagonist is like the worst protagonist in anything ever. Like you're supposed to root for somebody. Like if they're they should be flawed, but it should be like a reasonable flaw that they could like fix over the course of the story or whatever. There's just like absolutely none of that happening in this. Like it all just feels like made up chat GPT. How could I infinitely grind out this story where nothing happens? There's no growth. There's no like you meet a new character every once in a while and they fucking fade to the background again. It's like whatever the fuck you mean. And it's just complete bogus from the start to finish. It was entertaining for a long while, but now I'm not even like entertained by it. I'm just like my like botheringness of it is just like overwhelming my the actual legitimate entertainment value I could have from it. But it just pisses me off instead. It's like that's all it gives me now. It just torments. So thank you.
Yeah, but
Ready to go
it
for
drives the need to keep watching, I guess.
Oh, I'll
every
definitely.
season.
I will keep watching it
It
until
is
I
just
die.
a train wreck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not stopping at this point. I'm sticking with it until the end, even if that means It doesn't finish until 10 years from now because the goddamn
Which
manga
kind of seems
is
what
still
is
going.
is happening, right? Yeah, it kind of seems like that's what the author wants, or is, I don't know, forced
Yeah.
to.
I don't know.
You know, the
I've heard of some
industry, but
crazy
also
developments that have occurred in the
I've heard.
manga in the past. It was like a couple
Yep.
months ago where it was like being more heavily talked about. But it's still like going on and making shit up after that point. It's like how much more can you fucking do when you're already doing that stuff? Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of them that I've been seeing. The other one is one I've discussed a previous time. It's Dandadan. The second season is already
Mm-hmm.
airing somehow, even though the first season just came out. Not last season, but the one before, I
It
think.
was last year. Yeah, or just like, yeah, within a few seasons. Very
I
quick
guess it was
turnaround.
fall. So what, 3 seasons ago? Um,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, it's still same stuff overall. I like it a middling amount. I think it's a little bit overhyped. It makes sense that it's the most sort of popular series from this season and the one that it aired on because it is just that like here's the epic action and then like some other stuff like a balance of like comedy action and then in this case romance people hype up, which overall this second season I think like more comparatively
Mm-hmm.
to one. I like the ensembleness of it. I have liked the comedy a little bit more at points, and I have liked the romance at points. But it still just does drag itself down a little bit with the some of the comedy being like the same jokes or types of jokes over and over again. Um, and yeah, it's okay. It's decent overall, I would say. Um, and then another show that I like more this season than the previous that which had aired is this one called My Dress Up Darling. And this is an
Mm-hmm.
interesting show, which in my head sort of borders on being trashy and also just being some real fine shit. Um, it's this one that is focused on this pair of individuals. There's this dude who uh, he in his family they are trained to uh, make clothes for like these tiny traditional Japanese dolls. I forget the technical term of them, but it's a very like precise craft to like for somebody to have and like very specific. And then that's one of the characters, and then the other one is like a cosplayer, so they'll like get up in outfits and take photos or whatever. Then they're pretending to be characters of various things, and they combine their lore knowledge with each other. So they become like a duo of like the one dude sort of like making the outfits, and the other person sort of wearing them, and it's very pandering overall. Though, like when I watched this season one, whenever it came out, like a couple of years ago, I was mostly just in the realm of like it's very pandering to the male gaze because you got a lot of booby and ass shots from
Mm-hmm.
the female protagonist, thing going on there with her getting up in the not silly, like cosplaying outfits that can be revealing or just pandering in general. And it definitely does lean quite heavily into that way, where it's just this very attractive girl seemingly going after a normal kind of guy. But if you really look at like a level deeper than that, you could also determine that it's like also almost equally pandering to like the male gaze as it is for or excuse me, as the female gaze as it is for the male gaze, where like you have this girl living out her hobby passion thing of like dressing up in fun outfits and like going places and getting like her photos taken and stuff, and like she basically just has this dude like revolving around her and like making all the outfits for her and like figuring out like how like everything's gonna come together. And he's like overall a decent looking dude, and like he's tall, handsome, whatever, and he's smart and nice overall. So it's like it does sort of go both ways, which I think balances out whatever my problem for that kind of stuff would be of like like pandering to both sides heavily. I think overall it does create like a more balanced sort of experience with it. My main problem though is the fact that they're in high school for like no good reason really, and like that complaint is a very easy complaint to come up with for most anime that exists. Like most of them do
Mm-hmm.
not need to take place in high school, but they're going to because that's you know that's what they want to cater towards the audience. Sort of, they want to hit the teenage high school demographics of like people watching it, but also it's like as far as Japan society culture goes in general, it's like a united sort of like we've all been through this sort of thing, and life after is sort of like just boring and weird, and like all the social aspects in your life that you could potentially have most likely is taking part in high school, which is kind of sad and unfortunate that like a lot of I feel like Japanese people speak in high school, at least socially speaking. I don't know about life in general. I'm not a person who lives there or
Right.
grew up there, so I can't really speak too much on that. But just from my understanding of like the work
The
ethic
culture there.
and
Hmm.
like yeah, just sort of the high school in general. So it sits on that very like nostalgic sort of side for them, even more so than America, I'd say. And so, like, because of both of those reasons, a lot of them are going to take place in high school. And for this one, there's really no good reason to, with how many like titty and ass shots you're like giving the characters here. They even like they like have boner animation also, which is like there's like no reason for that for like a fucking high schooler. Like, they're both into fashion. All of their fucking friends are into fashion. Just age them up a few years and put them in like a fashion school university thing, and like you're good. You're
Problem
good. Like
solved.
you,
Look at that. Look at
there's
that.
actually no reason for them to be in high school. Like they have like a school festival arc because of course you got to repeat that
Of
every fucking
course.
time. But
Right.
like just do something different instead. Like oh they have to make an outfit for like for fucking their jobs or like a part time thing that they're like assigned
I
to
mean, they can
through like the
have festivals
university.
in university.
Yeah, it's
Like
like
there are. It's not that
no,
hard.
no, it's like yeah, you got to go through the same loops of like everything. I forget if season one there was like a sports festival arc because that's the other thing about like it taking place in high school. You get the same fucking shit every time of like
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
doing the sports festival, we're doing the school festival where people got to do things for the clubs and homerooms where they got to make it look pretty or whatever, and then you got whatever breaks that come and go throughout the school year. So it's just very repetitive. If you're a one who has seen lots of manga and anime, like the two of us are experts upon, so that's like my one gripe with this. Overall, I do like it better than season one, in part because I think it is reasonably better, and another one is just like me having like a different perspective sort of looking at this one. And it is just nice overall seeing them like collab and like it does just sort of showcase the like side to cosplay and costume making of like what that process is like, how you break it down, how you plan it out, how you start making the outfit, how things go wrong, like stuff like that. And you do learn like a couple of like tricks or I don't know, just like tips or like various things, just like how things sort of work behind the scenes. Like I had no idea that that's the way that fake titties worked, where you just like put them around your
Mhm.
neck and they just hang out like that, and you like cover them up. It's like oh shit, what? That's nuts. I'd
Yep.
never seen that before. Anyways, so yeah, I think this one is good overall. I guess about on par with the new Dandadan season, but you know, very different stuff. I have two more, but I will let my friend speak rather than myself.
All right. Yeah. I remember enjoying My Dress Up Darling more than I expected. I think it
Did you
was like
watch it
I
or
ended up
read it?
reading it. I ended up watching the first season and then also reading it.
Is it
And
over or was
yeah,
it still
I
going on? The
no,
manga?
it's still going.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I haven't caught up with it for in a while,
Mm-hmm.
like a year or so. But I remember liking it about as much as you, with like the same kind of qualms, but also it is nice because it's a little less directly horny. It's more like
Yeah,
I don't know.
it
It feels a little
definitely
more
is.
authentic, which is
I pretty much almost
oh
every
yeah,
episode there's like a moment of like, here's the boobs.
yeah. I have heard that the show
Oh, does it amp
is
it up
even
more?
more horny. So
Hell
yeah.
yeah. That's
Um,
why you guys gotta watch the anime. Don't read it like a nerd like Peter. Don't do
Exactly.
that.
You can't even see the titties bounce
Bro,
on the
you can't
paper.
even see
What the
they
hell?
give
What what
it's
the
like the
fuck?
only show I've seen boner animation for. It was absolutely wild seeing that go down
Yeah,
in
no,
season one. That was
we are
crazy. It was
right on
literally
the edge
nuts,
of
Peter.
etchy slash yeah. All right. But the show that I want to talk about this month was a little show that I ended up watching with some friends. called Smiling Friends.
Oh shit.
And that's the new one, yeah, out of Adult Swim, I think it is. It's like a animated adult show that's set in this weird little town with just like a really surreal kind of premise for each episode. It kind of follows a weird duo that goes around trying to help people smile, but like the entire show is like very surreal and like dark and comedic. The animation is really interesting and like stylized, combining a whole bunch of different types of animation from like just classic hand-drawn animation to computer animated stuff, like actual like game rendering stuff, rotoscoping, and like a bunch of like different like live action or like hand painted stuff, akin to like a SpongeBob. It's a really fun show, honestly. Really great kind of biting commentary in some of these episodes. That's like just like very sardonic and dry. When I watched the first episode and I heard Mike from
Only plays.
yeah, he plays one of the characters there, which I thought was awesome. It kind of
Isn't
helps
it written
set
by
the tone.
at least two or one of the Only plays dudes? I thought
Yeah,
they had
it could
a
be.
part in more than just their voicing it. I thought they were just in
Um,
charge of it in general, but I could be wrong.
I'm not sure how closely they're attached
Okay.
to it, but regardless, it's a great show that I would recommend. I haven't finished it yet. Mostly just watched an episode here or there, but it's enough to want me to check it out again. And I think season three is coming out pretty soon. But yeah, very funny, really fucked up, like incredibly fucked up sometimes.
Damn.
But like it's all set in this kind of weird dreamlike location that you just kind of roll with the punches. It's almost like a what's the YouTuber that does like the kind of terrifying creepy pasta ass animation?
Meat Canyon?
Yeah, me Candy, exactly. There's definitely elements of that in the show, along with a bunch of other weird shit.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I've been wanting to check this one. I don't know what I've been holding out on, but it seems
It
like a
took me,
cool.
yeah, it took me a while to get, the drive to check it out, but
Get the
now that I
courage.
have, it's definitely worth it
Hmm.
for sure.
Hell yeah. All right, for my other two sequel series anime thingies that I've been witnessing, I got this one called Rascal Does Not Dream of Santa Claus, which like I don't even know how to explain this one. The first season for it came out in like 2017 or 18 or something, so it's been a while. It's been a long
Hmm.
break since the show's been on the air, and it focuses on character people who get this thing called what is it fucking called? Summon syndrome, puberty syndrome, where like characters just like sort of weird shit happens to them, like the to the point where like people's cognitions of them will just be like weird and messed up and like just abnormal and supernatural sort of. So like I don't know, a couple of examples of like one person will like get puberty syndrome, and what that'll do to them is that it'll just make other people not be able to see them at all. For other characters, it will just make other people nearby them treat them in some sort of different, sort of unique way, or it'll like prevent them from physically being able to do something or like something random like that. Me like vaguely like describing it right now doesn't really do the show any justice. The actual like uh, concepts that they explore with that and like how it's sort of thematically there's something holding them back or repressing them from doing something that they need to sort of get over is sort of what the heart of the show is, because this dude, the protagonist, is like sort of immune to the effects of these things, so he's able to see through whatever weird thing they got going on and help them sort of along their way with reconciling whatever sort of thing they got going on. Again, sort of weird to describe, but it's got like a really good setup premise, I think. And it's pretty unique, but also pretty confusing. Also, like just season one alone, and then like jumping into this, I watched the first episode and I just like had no idea what was going on. Part of that was because of like the long break between, but also there was like some other supplementary things that they sort of expect you to check out. There's a film, which I had seen that, but then there's also like these two sort of short OVA things that are about like a little under an hour each. So I do definitely recommend checking this one out. It's probably the one I'm most interested in as of right now that's currently airing. And I would, if people were to check it out, it would be like you would see the first season and then the film and then the two OVA things and then the second season thing here. So yeah, it's not the easiest thing to get into necessarily because of all of that, and you have to like configure like, oh, where do I find season one, and where do I find the movie, and then where do I find the two random OVA things, versus like Dandadan or something where it's just like, all right, there's season one, season two, easy peasy. But this is slightly more investment, and I think a much better unique show overall. Again, I'm weird at explaining things sometimes, so maybe it didn't make the most sense. The thing of it, you could just read a synopsis somewhere if you didn't like the way I described it. But I think overall it's a very good show, and it's unique and cool. And I'm glad it's airing again. Like I didn't expect a season two or like sequel season ever. I thought it was just done, but no, we get more of it. So I'm like I'm cool with that, and I'm here for it. So I'm glad that it's
I remember watching the first season back in high school. It was like one of the first animes that I had ever watched, like along with Attack on Titan, I think. Those were like the ones that were coming out, and like everyone, it was still like anime was on the rise of acquiring a bunch of popularity. But that was a great one. From what I can recall, I literally have not consumed any of it since high school. But I remember the concept being really cool, and it is almost like the framework of it is kind of it's a little strange in the beginning of the season because you are still coming to terms with those concepts that you were struggling to explain. But it is a part of the story, and it's all uncovered and explored in a very satisfying way. And I never ended up checking out the movie, but now that there's another season coming out, I might have to catch up on all of that, because maybe even rewatch it. I do remember liking the story a lot.
Yeah, it's probably worth going back to. I maybe should have done that since it's been so long, and since it is a series that like relies on you knowing a couple things. Like there's still a couple characters where I'm looking at them, they're doing things, and I'm like, I don't even remember what you were involved with in season one. Like I have no idea. So, even that is not like preventing me from appreciating this newer season of things here. So. Yeah, would recommend that one. And then the last one I have to discuss, which I don't even really have much to discuss about it, it's just the new Dr. Stone season is airing Science Futures. Like it's Dr. Stone, and I still like it. I should have read it, but I'm just watching it instead. But at this point, it's nice. It's the one I'm furthest behind. I'm like probably like, I don't know, 5 almost episodes behind now, or probably like 3 or 4. So yeah, I don't know. It's good. Anyways.
Yeah.
Already talked about it mostly, I think. So moving on. Is that the TV section for you?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Video games. I only have 3.
Only 3. I got 5, but you can start us off. People don't like me hearing about my anime shit. They're like, get this man out of here. I don't want to hear any more anime, even though I have a couple anime games. Oops, sorry.
My video game consumption this past month has been strange because I started a few games that I kind of bounced off of, and then I got caught up on replaying a certain game that I will talk about later. But the games that I started and will try and get back to, because I was enjoying myself. The first one was Subnautica, and that's classic sort of survival game. You're exploring, you're dropped onto a planet that is purely made of oceans, and you're supposed to sort of salvage from the shipwreck that you were a part of, and kind of just build up a base and try and explore the planet to the best of your ability, which means diving deeper and deeper and deeper into very scary and dark oceans. And it is kind of, it's really, it's super immersive in that, just like that sensation of being in the water. It's really impressive how they accomplish that, because it is kind of terrifying. Like when it gets dark at night and you're in the water, it gets spooky. So it's like you obviously unlock certain tools and the ability to craft shelters and different ways of combating those shortcomings of, swimming at night, going deeper than you have oxygen for, going deeper than you have the pressure for, and I haven't gotten too far, but it was very enjoyable while I was doing it. Unfortunately, I got hooked on another game. But the other game that I got sort of bounced off of was a certain web novel called Steins.
No way.
Yep.
No way.
I saw it was on sale in the summer sale, and I picked it up because I remember loving the show so much. And for those of you who don't know, it's Steins was originally this web novel, the game that I just picked up on Steam, but then it was correct, visual novel, and it was eventually adapted into an anime that is widely celebrated, very critically acclaimed, and a lot of people have it as one of their top shows of all time. But the web novel or visual novel, I kind of struggled to really get into. It's
very,
kind
very
of tough.
Slow.
It's just
slow.
You're just reading. I wasn't aware that this is like really my first visual novel that I've gotten into, and it's just clicking and reading, and you don't really get to engage with the world much at all. There are a few choices, but they come up like once every maybe 3 hours of gameplay, which is just reading, and so it was something that I was not really in the mood for to play. I'll probably go back to it, or I don't know. It seems like I could just watch the show again if I want to, get the story. But it is, the difference between being the one who's playing. But honestly, I didn't feel like I had a ton of agency because the choices come up once every 3 hours or so.
Yeah, and
so
the choices that you do make, they're very minimal and don't seemingly affect anything that's necessarily going on.
You can interact with your phone in the visual novel, but the phone feels mostly set dressing. Like you'll get messages every so often, but they're mostly scripted, and you can respond to some of them. Some of them
either answer
can't.
calls or deny them, or text back to people based on a couple of parameters. Which again, it's definitely a unique way to do things. It's much different from the more typical approach where it's just you're given a choice and then you select from the options, and then from there the story goes in that direction for either a little bit or it completely radicalizes the rest of the gaming experience. And I think the choice of like the way they do it in this, the way they handle choices, I think feeds into the game's overall themes quite nicely.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I won't say you probably already are aware, though I've only ever experienced this visual novel when it comes to the story of Steins Gate. I didn't even know that there was an anime adaptation of it. I'm like the reverse of it, where I somehow found out about this through like, I don't know, just Steam or something. Everybody loved it, so I'm like, I'll try it out or whatever. And then later I found out, it's an anime that a lot of people like. So it's like that a lot of my friends have seen, but it's like, it's probably has the typical things. I again cannot speak too much about like the differences between them, but I can only assume this is more substantial, and it features multiple endings, if you could believe it somehow. Which is sort of typical amongst visual novels. Is something that they'll do. So I can only assume that like the anime only sticks to like the true ending, if anything. I just don't know because I've never seen it. But either way, there's most likely a lot of content missing from the anime that exists within this that is worth checking out and exploring. because out of all of the visual novels that I have played, which isn't like too many to be fair, but this is my favorite out of all of them, just because the story is so solid, and it just takes like all of
It
these
really is.
sci-fi concepts related to time travel, and it just like it encapsulates so many of them. Like it just every single like travel thing that you could think of, like this show or visual novel series like goes into it in a really really nice way. So I like it a lot, and
Yeah.
it is slow. You have to stick by it. It'll take much longer than the anime to like for like literally anything literally to
But
get through any event or part of it.
hmm
But I do think it is one worth sticking through all the way too. So if you can
I'll
pick it up
definitely go
again,
back to it.
please.
It's funny you say that because pretty it's pretty well known that the anime itself has a kind of a rough start. Like
Oh,
maybe
really?
the first 6 or so episodes are kind of boring for a lot of people, and it's not uncommon for them to bounce off of it.
Interesting.
Which is kind
That's
of
how
how
you
I was feeling with
gatekeep
the
it.
game. So it's like I didn't feel that way with the show, but I'm
Okay.
sort of feeling like that with the game. So I know that if I stick with it, I'll get to the meat of the
Yeah.
story, and once you're in it, it's really easy to keep watching or keep playing. So I just need to get through that.
The
But
hurdle.
it's also it wasn't like the kind of game that was looking to play
No, yeah, like
when I picked it up. So I kind of will put it on my backlog
yeah,
for now.
because there's like in my head there's like two types of visual novels. There's ones like this which are like more traditional in that like you're just M1ing or spacebarring like
Hmm.
99% of it, and then every once in a while you come
Yeah,
up with like a choice of like I'm going with option A, and then it'll take me on like this
yeah.
direction for like a little bit. Versus like something a little bit more involved, like Ace Attorney, for example, where it's like it is a lot of mouse clicking or whatever, but it's also like, all right, now here's the phase of the game where you ask questions or like do like the whole trial thing where you got to
Hmm.
figure
Set
out
the
line up the clues
yeah.
correctly and stuff like that. So it's
Hmm.
like there's some which like balance the visual novelness with some legitimate gameplay things, and then there's some that just lean into only the M1 clicking, which is pretty much this one. So like they're
Hmm.
definitely not everybody's things, but I think they're pretty cool as like a medium of storytelling. So yeah.
They are. They're unique. They're almost they feel like the precursors to like a point and click adventure, or even
Hmm.
more of like the yeah, I mean point and click adventures like a Professor Layton and those kind
Yeah.
of like detective games, or like a putt putt. Those are all kind of in the same vein as a visual novel.
Hmm. Yeah. To backtrack also to Subnautica, I own that game. I don't know if I'll ever play it
Hmm.
because I am just not good at horror at all when it comes to video
Yeah,
games. Like I'm cool with the
it's
movies.
really
I can
interesting
watch like the
because
scariest film ever and be like, I'm good. That was nice or whatever.
yeah,
And then, but like it just put me in
games are
something that has the
scary.
slightest fear factor. Like, and I'm just broken.
Yeah,
And I'm like, I'm good. I'm
yeah.
done. Get me out.
I remember recommending you you have to check out Silent Hill 2 still,
Okay.
because that's like one that you have to, right? Because
That
it's
one,
classic.
yeah.
And that they're very different
Types of horror.
styles of
Yeah, yeah,
horror.
yeah.
Like Subnautica is technically not a horror
Right.
game, right? It's just survival.
But just like the
But
unknown
because it's
stuff.
the
Yeah.
ocean, and the ocean is so vast, and like you don't really get to experience that when you're just, looking at the beach, or maybe even swimming atop a lake or whatever. It's not the same as being submerged,
Only
10,000
being
feet
able to see
below.
like 20 feet in front of you or something. Oh, God.
Yeah, it's just pitch black, and you know that everything around you
Poor little
moves
shit.
much faster than you and are much more dangerous. So
Thanks for
there is
selling me
that
on
sort
this.
of, yeah, it's unlike anything else
Yeah.
I've played. And it's a really unique feeling that if you're willing to put up with it, it definitely scratches a certain itch that I don't think anything else does.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it has such a passionate fan base,
Hmm.
because really there's nothing else like Subnautica.
Yeah. I still might check it out. Like I literally own the game. I bought it like years ago. It's just sitting there.
It honestly, it gives me similar feelings to how space exploration was in Outer Wilds.
Hmm.
Uh, Did you ever play through that? Or
Maybe
not
I
yet?
will answer
May
that question
oh
later
oh,
today.
because that's fortuitous, but that sense of like the vastness of space and your inability to really traverse it in any meaningful capacity. You're on like a shitty ass ship
Yeah,
with a shitty ass
the little
jetpack,
dinky
and
thing
your
that
jet,
I
it's
don't know
like
any of
your
the
oxygen
physics that
breaks.
relates to that.
If you run into this planet too hard, you're gonna just
You just
crash and
break it.
burn,
Yeah.
and you immediately die. So it has the same kind of the harshness of nature that Subnautica has, and it's up to you and your perseverance as a player to push through it. Kind of ironic because I bounced off of it, but I'll get back to it. I won't let it beat me. But it's also one of those games that like there's not really an objective.
Right.
They're very loose objectives. You kind of get radio signals from other survivors of the crash, but they come up at scripted intervals, and there's no really time pressure to go to them. So it's just like more of a incentive or like a invitation to if you want to go over there, check it out. But I haven't really engaged with that yet, so there's not as big of a drive for my playthrough as I'm used to in certain games. But I guess that's not uncommon for survival games in general.
Yeah. Again, we'll probably play at some point. Probably not for a whole lot, just to do it, and then like I get jump scared by a big fish at some point. I'm like, all right, I'm good.
The big fish they are scary.
Yeah.
They're definitely scary.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, I have a couple games to discuss. One of them was one I've talked about in the past. Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition. I went back to it for a little bit, and I've found some new things to complain about here. The number one thing you miss out on the Switch version compared to the Wii U version, I don't think I've mentioned this, but there was like the Wii U gamepad served actual functionality in this game where it would just be like a second screen for like map, which there's 3 different map screens in this game, so it's sort of important if you have a device that could just like function as a map for the whole time as you swap between the different map sub menus and stuff. So it's like it's kind of nice to just have that gamepad for the purpose of that exclusively versus like every time I want to do any one of those things involving that I have to open up the menu and then navigate to the sub menu rather than like just doing it on the gamepad directly. But overall the Switch version is a lot better across like I mean literally everything I talked about last time with it. Other thing to complain about is a lot of games do this, but like this one will give you an objective for like go here and talk to this NPC or like defeat this guy, and like that objective will be in the middle of a bunch of enemies who are like way higher level than you and will just aggro onto you at the slightest inch of movement that you'll have within their line of sight. So it's really annoying sometimes doing like side quests that are like level 30 and then you go there and it's just like level 70 or 60 dudes like just surrounding them, and it's like I have to like wiggle my way around through and like to try to get to them. The game does have methods to sort of bypass that. There's some I think arts that'll just make you like either give you like stealth down to a certain extent or just like make enemies ignore you entirely, which I took advantage of once or twice in the main story specifically, because there was this one section like backtracking it was really annoying. So they like do have solutions for that, but it's so consistent it's just kind of annoying. And it is an issue that other Xenoblade games have had, but I feel like it's to a higher extent in this because like the enemy concentrations of just like how many of them they are. They'll have like bases and stuff, so like there'll just be like 50 enemies in there, and so it's just really hard to put as the mech fly in and then fly out, or even just like on foot, you'll just like get completely bombarded with dudes. So that's a little bit annoying. Delay in actions. Oh yeah. So like there's a little bit of input delay or just like you won't be able to input stuff at all. Sometimes during combat when certain things happen where like you'll activate a skill, there's like a number of conditions that could trigger a sort of like a circle appears on your screen and you have to press a button when the circle overlaps with another circle, a sort of like a I don't know, a rhythm game thing or like a
Hmm.
time. What's the other term for it when it's like
QTE.
QT? Thank you. Yeah, quick time event type of thing. In the middle of combat, and sometimes you'll get interrupted by that. Like it'll pop up, but you can't actually do it until like you'll be interrupted by it because you press another button and then you don't have enough time. Like there's just like an input delay there for like no reason. Where like I can maybe understand on the Wii U version it not being able to like run that or function that at all, but it just blocks you off from like doing the most effective combos, like where I do this skill after the other after this one, while also still balancing that QTE. Like I'm physically capable of doing that, but the game just won't let me for some reason. So
Hmm.
that's sort of annoying there. And then oh yeah, I was trying to like there's this mechanic called like I forget what it's called actually. It's some sort of ball, and it'll show like the where you navigate to reach a certain objective. I think it's called the follow ball. And you get it relatively early in like chapter 2 or 3 or something, and it's just like the most useless thing ever because it barely even works. Like what it's supposed to do is it's supposed to you activate it, and then it just shows you the direction you're supposed to run in as sort of like a baby mode type of thing to like reach a
Hmm.
particular objective. And sometimes I do find use in that when the world is as sort of complicated and intricate as it is, where like the maps for like the map screens for the Xenoblade games are sort of a mixed bag overall when it comes to uh, uh, the like hierarchy in vertical levels. It could be like hard to determine where certain objectives are in relation to the verticality, like in the map itself, which I feel like is an issue with games in general. Like sometimes you'll have like Near Automata where the map is 3D, or Donkey Kong Bonanza, which probably has the best map in any video game that I've seen. I forget if I even mentioned that last time when I talked about that one. But like most games, it's like a 2D thing, and it's hard to tell like the 3D like relativeness of everything when it comes to verticality specifically. And so like the follow ball I would use at like the times like that where I'm super desperate, I like don't know how to get to a specific objective because it's like in the cave somewhere. You have to like navigate to a specific part of the world to reach something, and it just like wouldn't work. So I would like go online and try to look it up. There's like nobody talking about it because nobody gives a shit about this game when it was on the Wii U. I was looking it up maybe like a few days or a week after the Switch version released, and like I just got no results. So like I just out of sheer desperation went to ChatGPT and I was like, bro, how do I get this fucking follow ball to work when it doesn't work? It like the true answer is like it just doesn't work like most of the time. And ChatGPT tried to like convince me that Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition was not a game that existed, that only Xenoblade Chronicles existed. The definitive edition of that. It was the only thing that existed. There was no definitive edition of X. So that was annoying for that time. I had to be like, no, there fucking is. Just Google it. It's not that hard. Anyways, I have for some reason hit and run tactics on my notes. I don't know what that means. I played this game like 4 weeks ago now. I forget what that means. I think I just used to, I would like attack enemies and then run away from them in order to get some sort of goal from that. I'm trying to remember what that even was. I'll flash it on the screen if I remember. I don't know what the fuck that is. Anyways, that's this game. I completed like the main story mode of it up to the point where there's the new content. So I beat the first 12 chapters, which is where the Wii U version ended. And it's very much a not even an ending really at all. Like it's very much a cliffhanger. Like I cannot even imagine playing the Wii U version of this and getting to the end, and that's just the end of it, like the story. And like, if I like, I'm
For
not really invested
years.
in the story of this too much. It's mostly like the side content that it keeps me coming back. And like the world itself and like the exploring it and like the mech is really awesome. And the story is sort of more like a more background thing, which is interesting. So yeah, I can't even be like imagine being like invested in the story at the Wii U era of this and just get in there and be like, like just completely lost, and you have to wait all this time to replay the whole goddamn game again, and then you get a little uh, further chapter stuff, which I look forward to
Hmm.
doing in the future, just not immediately right now. So yeah, that's that one. Another game that I played is the one where you go in space and you explore it in a pretty small, relatively self-contained area galaxy thing. It's this game called
Mm.
Outer Wilds. It was
Hmm.
an indie game, right? That came out.
I've never heard of it. So
Sorry,
yeah,
allow me to
yeah.
explain. So it's basically the idea of it is that you are going around in space and you're exploring planets and just sort of figuring shit out for yourself. There's very little guidance like Subnautica, where you're just sort of given the ship, you go and then you explore. It's a very simple premise, and what the idea is sold upon is you exploring these places, you figuring out the lore and like things about them. There's like like whatever writings, ancient writings that you like translate or whatever that explain like essentially act as logs of people living there, where it's like they'll explain either things about their lives or the environment and like the way things work, and like each planet is sort of different in functionality and it has sort of weird stuff going on in general, and it does have that thing similar to Subnautica sometimes, where it's like just like I'll just like go to a planet and then just some creature will fucking devour me that I'd like had no time to react. I'm like, oh fuck, don't fucking do the thing,
Yeah.
but they do it. So that's creepy there. And overall, I have to say that this game really is not my thing at all,
Hmm.
if I'm being frank, which sucks because this is one of the most beloved games of all time. One of the most
Yeah.
beloved indie games or whatever, if that is that, I think it is, of all time. And that premise is nice. That premise is good. I just don't substantially get anything out of this type of experience. So there's no guidance. I go a place and then I get there. I maybe wander around a little bit. I maybe discover something. Maybe I don't. And if I do discover someone, it's usually someone small or whatever. And it maybe leads to me discovering another small thing on the planet. Um, and then I just kind of die. And then it resets and I'm brought back. And I'm like, okay, time to go to a different place and try it again.
Mm-hmm.
And then the same thing sort of happens where like in most video games you might be guided towards a certain goal or objective. I don't need every single game to be like Donkey Kong Bonanza throwing the fucking ton of you did it, here's your gold sticker fucking banana thing in your face for like just doing like the most basic thing ever. Like I don't need every single game to do that. I don't need every single game to have an objective marker or the fucking follow ball, whether it works or not, that I just run in a straight line that I follow. I mean, you heard us complain about Persona 5 The Phantom X, where it's like too much of that is just a pain in the ass. Like if that's the only thing going on, it's just go here, go here, go here. The game telling you that over and over and over again, it's going to be boring as hell. But I do like definitely value a balance in that. That's just not what the point of this game is. It's you go out there, you explore, you think, figure things out for yourself, and through that directly, you get out of it what you, I guess, put in. And I did put in like enough. I feel like I put in 3 hours worth of stuff, which I feel like for a game
Mm-hmm.
that's as short of as this is, that's like enough to like make or break whether you'll be like really into this one or not. And sort of the thing that broke me was like there's this planet I went to that had like this really tall tower. So I like get to the planet surface. I enter the tower, and the tower is made up like of all these floors that has like these puzzles like throughout each
Mm-hmm.
floor that like advance in like difficulty and stuff. And so I go throughout that entire tower. I learn my way through it. It takes me like 30 minutes or whatever. I'm like, well, that was nice. I wonder what I'll get from that. And it was basically just nothing. The reward of it was the fact that you did it and that you know how
Mm-hmm.
to solve puzzles like that going forward if you ever encounter any in the future from that place. And it's like, to me, I'm like, I don't know, like, what do I make of that? Like, I did the thing. It felt like that moment in the game, it felt completely isolated from everything else going on. I understand that there's maybe other locations that have that sort of similar puzzle scheme going on that are just waiting for me to solve, but I'm never going to necessarily encounter those, especially if I don't necessarily feel incentivized to uh, go out there and find them. Like, again, maybe I guess that's my fault, but like I had done that maybe like an hour and a half into the game, and from that point forward, I still didn't find any other things quite like the puzzles in that area there. So it was just kind of like weird. And I like it just felt odd, and I was like, well, I just don't feel super incentivized to go after one point or another. Not to say that there's nothing I got out of this at all. I think the intro area is quite nice. It's basically like a glorified tutorial in a way where there's NPCs around. They like sort of teach you how to use the tools and stuff that you'll be utilizing along the way. I did like exploring certain places. I thought the gravity, like the way they were able to like make that in physics was quite nice. There was like this asteroid I barely landed on somehow, and the gravity of that was like so low. I almost like fell off of it by just doing like the smallest jump that like went over the curvature of it. And I was like, oh shit, I'm fucking fall into space. But yeah, like landing the thing is actually pretty damn hard sometimes. Like you said, you'll just like fucking.
Oh yeah.
I think the first time I definitely like blew myself up by just like smashing into the planet, just like full head on. It takes some getting used to.
It feels very unintuitive.
Yeah, at first, but because the other thing is like it's so hard to tell like the speed at which you're going. They have a thing that will let you match the speed of a particular planet that like you lock onto. But like since you're so far away from it, it's hard to tell like your like speed in relation to it until you're like really fucking close. You're like, oh, slow down, until you inevitably crash. But it takes some getting used to. But I like mastering that. I guess is something I did. Not really, but like getting good enough at that to actually land on things was nice. And like exploring stuff sometimes was cool. Of like going to a new location. There's like caves or whatever, and I'm like going in them and checking things out. There's definitely nice aspects to it. It's just like. I did not end up at anything substantial. It's just not really the kind of game that I'm too terribly into. It's short. It's just sort of lets me do whatever without guidance. I like the bigger anime games that have 10-hour cutscenes at the start before I could even start playing the game. So I have a little bit of incentive to do whatever thing is going on. So I completely understand why people like this. Especially if you are an old head when it comes to games and like given sort of fairly little direction and being fairly short and just letting you do your own thing and figure things out for yourself. I think it's cool in that way, and it 100% succeeds. It's just not necessarily the gaming experience that I strive to tackle or go after. So I had played this game years ago on like my laptop, and I got a new Epic Gaming PC, so I've been able to run it much more consistently. On this, which is what I've been, I guess, sort of waiting for, because I had played this years ago, and I sort of went back to it again to give it a second and third shot or whatever. And yeah, it's just, again, it sits there, it's nice, whatever, but overall, it's
not for you.
Not for me, because I got shitty gaming takes.
Yeah, that is fair. It's definitely not a game that I would recommend to everyone. It's one that I think, shoot me, might be a little overglazed. I have it. I think I have it as like an 8 out of 10, which is still great. I still like it a lot. But there are elements of it that don't gel as well for me. But yeah, I personally really enjoyed kind of going to a location, picking up a little bit of information, and then dying and resetting, and you keep that information, then you go to another place. I thought that was enough for a game loop to get me engaged, and I really liked the kind of the map and the important pieces of information that you get that are all laid out in like a bit of a schematic that you can kind of follow and track, like what are the things that I'm supposed to be looking for. Like there are certain things that are locked to certain planets or locations, and it helps you not get too lost. Obviously, that's the extent of its guidance. Like it's just basically a log of what you have found out and what has been alluded to by notes that you found. So you're never really getting told where to go. It's definitely up to you. But just that visualization of all of that information, I thought was very useful and enough to keep me from going over the edge. Because I do agree, like, there's an extent of hand-holding that I want in my game, just for ease of play. You know, I don't need every game to be completely aimless and, you know, make your own fun, or, you know, find your own fun. Sometimes I just want to be told where to go, what to do, and that's where I get my fun. But, you know, it's a different game, different experience, and I think Outer Wilds did a good enough job for me personally to balance that sort of open world, open nature to it, while still keeping you engaged by creating a fun hook, and then also making sure you are invested in the discovery and the mystery that you're trying to, you know, uncover, just through general gameplay and design choices that they've made. But like you've said, definitely not for everyone.
Yeah, I think it's cool that a lot of people can enjoy this one. I just happen to not get too much out of it. Hopefully that means I'd survive the epic YouTube comment attack that will definitely happen on our YouTube channel right now.
Of course.
And then I'll do one more, and then you could do you have one more, right?
Yeah, just a short one.
Okay.
But
I got another one to discuss, that being one that Peter had mentioned last time, I think, which was Dredge. This one also went on sale, I guess probably at the same time that Steins Gate did, recently. So I picked it up, and I've been having a nice time with it. I have not finished it yet, but I'm most of the way through the sort of main objective thing where you like collect like 4 or 5 objects. I have 2 left.
yeah.
I'm most of the way through one of them, so I have like basically like 1.5 objects to get. And this is just a really nice time overall. It starts slow and then slowly, steadily opens up to you in terms of like navigating the world and like meeting NPCs and like getting to the various fish and the parts that will expand your ship, and like the ever growing progression of it. That like the game's very balanced when it comes to the systems sort of interacting with each other, when it comes to like the main objectives sort of that you're given alongside the sort of side quests you're given, and like what materials you may locate that will expand your ship, and the fish you sell will like help you with everything. Like it's a very concise and like game that has considered each of its gameplay systems and just like integrates them together in a pretty well and solid way. Again, I haven't finished it. It's not a terribly long game though, so I do feel like I do feel quite confident in me saying words about this game, even though I think there's still like a decent amount to it that I haven't explored, I'm sure. There's also like DLC, which I have not checked out. I don't know if I will or not. But yeah, it's just like nice overall. It's a good slow progression thing. And then, oh yeah, the time stops when not doing anything. So like a lot, this game like runs on time, like a time-based system, which doesn't like matter too much. It just determines like which like fish you'll get, and like eventually if you stay out too long at night, like weird shit might happen, which I haven't really experienced. But
It's honestly not that scary for the most part.
Yeah.
It's not like
at first I was like, oh shit, what's gonna happen? But like
Yeah.
I think the game just tries to psych you out with like the menu of like the eyeball showing up and
Yeah.
being like someone's gonna fucking have it, like, but probably not. But I don't know. I'm still thinking that a big fish can show up randomly, just tracking me at night and being like, hey, what's up? And then he eats me or something. But hey, I have no idea. But it's a game that relies upon time. And a lot of games that do will just drain that shit no matter what. Like if you want to stop the time from happening, you have to like open a menu or something to just like pause the game outright. But what's nice about this game is that like if you just stop moving, like time just stops. So you could like look
It's so
around,
nice.
soak in like what's happening, think about like what you want to do without having to like pop open the menu. It's like it's a very simple and small enough difference from other like time-based things, but it's enough to like make it stand out, and just like I don't know, I appreciate that. Also the menu where the subquests or sort of lie on, it's like on this bulletin board thing, and the positions on the bulletin boards for the quest giver line up with where they're positioned on the map, which I thought that detail is quite nice, and just further like What's the phrase? Contextualizing the quests in terms of like where they're located, so you don't have to like keep thinking about that and like going back and forth, because like the on the quests won't necessarily display like the quest giver on the map, but you can refer back to the bulletin board to get like the basic sort of like overview of where they're at. But yeah, I don't think I'll 100% this and like do all the quests, get all the fish or like whatever. I think I'll just hit the main objectives and do whatever kind of extra stuff I want to along the side. So yeah, I plan on doing that soon, eventually. But yeah, it's very nice, like you've said, and when you recommended it.
Yeah. Just a fun, kind of cozy time. Not really super mechanically engaging or even like narratively engaging. You just get to play it at your own speed, which is sometimes exactly what you need.
Yeah, not the most in-depth thing, because you're on the surface the whole time in the game. And Wuthering Waves 100% stole from this fucking game when it came to like the fishing mini games and like
that kind of thing,
and like the inventory management. And there's even like,
it might not even be from this game.
Yeah, so they definitely borrowed from the same shit in terms of both of those things. And then also in Wuthering Waves, there's like bombable walls when you're doing like the fishing shit to like open up areas that you could get into, or like makes backtracking easier. So they definitely borrowed from the same shit, which might have been this game. But yeah, just wanted to add that.
Classic kind of gameplay things.
Yeah, so I basically already played this game already. I'm just doing it again.
Yeah.
Except there's no anime waifus involved in this one.
Only fucked up
only
fish
sailors,
monstrosities.
Only fucked up sailors and fucked up people. The people in this game are weird.
Yep.
But it's a cool aesthetic. I really like it.
Yeah. On my end, the thing that, took all the other games away from me and sort of got me to bounce off of the other games was a game that I've already played before, a game that I enjoy a lot, that being Baldur's Gate 3.
No way.
I started another playthrough, and it's too good. I thought I was just going to play a little bit of it, but then I'm in Act 3 now, and it's too late. I'm going to finish it. I'm playing through a Dark Urge playthrough now, which I've only, this is my second playthrough now, second solo playthrough, and my first playthrough with the Dark Urge, which is a very fun playthrough. It adds a bunch of context to the world that, you wouldn't really get if you're just playing your custom
avatar.
Tav.
What's the Dark Urge? Is that the White Dragon dude?
Yep, okay, White Dragon. Okay. And it's fun because he is essentially the most direct link to the previous games, Baldur's Gate 1 and 2.
Have you
which
played
I've
those?
Played through.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, fantastic games. But really, there was a limited connection between those games and Baldur's Gate 3, or at least limited direct connection, because you did have returning characters in Chihira and Minsk,
right.
But there is much more of a direct connection with the Dark Urge's character to the Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 stories that I thought was very fun to play through. It feels very much like the main story, like if there wasn't pick your own origin or pick your custom character and role play however you want. Dark Urge definitely feels like the Baldur's Gate 3 story, where Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 had one story and no characters that you could play through as. Dark Urge is that answer to Baldur's Gate 3 story, and I like it a lot. You get to play it however you want. Obviously, there's still a ton of role-playing opportunity to be, the worst fucking person ever, which, I struggle to in any playthrough. Yeah. So I'm playing my Dark Urge more as, a reticent, trying to heal their dark urges. But, you could just play the meanest motherfucker imaginable. But that's kind of hard for me.
I'm also really bad at being evil in video games.
Being evil in video games, it's just not satisfying. Like you end up locking yourself out of certain things. There are obviously
it depends on the game
that you wouldn't be able to.
Punishes or like is cool with you doing like with that whatever.
I would even say that Baldur's Gate 3 does a good job of,
Sure.
rewarding your choices
Yeah.
either way. So if you go evil, you're gonna get some really interesting and powerful things that you wouldn't be able to if you were good. But it's still like I like the companions so much, and most of them are good aligned, so you're locking
Yeah.
yourself out of a decent amount depending on the choices that you make. And it's easier to keep evil aligned companions with you if you're good than it is for you to
Yeah.
keep good aligned companions with you if you're evil.
I mean, there's really
So
only
it's just
like one, like, if we're talking like the
dr-
D&D alignment, there's really only like one evil party member,
I
I feel
would
like, right?
say two,
Lae'zel is
maybe
one,
three.
you're saying?
Minthara and Asterion are pretty fucking evil.
I guess Asterion
Shadowheart
is.
can be evil depending on what you
Yeah.
do with her,
Yeah.
but she's usually not. And Lae'zel is
Yeah.
also evil, I would say.
She's like neutral. I don't know.
Yeah,
Um,
more neutral than
she could
Asterion
definitely
and,
go
and
evil. I
Minthara.
feel like also depending on what you do, but definitely
Exactly,
the Drow
yeah.
is the evil one in my
She
brain.
is very evil. Yep. But still, really enjoying this playthrough. The new subclasses are all
Oh, yeah.
sick as fuck.
Have you
Like
been-
the
which
builds
ones
are
have you
so
been
fun, so fun. Frost Giant build is really great for a barbarian. Essentially, you are able to grow a size when you rage, and then you can also bind your weapon to be a throwable weapon no matter what. So you can
Oh, shit.
rage with a two-handed weapon and then throw it and it will return to your hand, and it also does extra bonus damage from your strength
Right.
modifier, which you can double with your tavern brawler, so you're just doing a stupid amount of damage.
Yeah, that's
It's a really cool build. Yeah, I'm enjoying all my builds. I'm playing with mods again,
Sure.
so I have a full party, all of my companions, but there are
I
I
feel like
have
that'd be
another
overwhelming.
mod that
Like every
I have
round of
I have another
combat,
mod
control,
that
like 9 dudes across
it's
two
so much.
playthroughs.
It's so fucking much. It definitely slows down combat way more. Especially because I have a mod that modifies the
Speed.
combat
Like just skips
and like the
animations or
difficulty.
something. Oh.
No, I should. I should
I
say
don't know if that
there is
exists.
that. I hope I was wanting it to, because that is one of the slower parts of
Yeah.
turn-based combat, is just waiting for every enemy to take a turn. But instead, the difficulty modifiers give the enemies more actions and give them more health out of DC, because depending on how many people are in your party,
Yeah.
since I have
Just
like
one
12,
round.
the enemies have like fucking 4 actions, and
God
like they have way more health. But it's all balanced because I'm able to take way more actions using
Yeah.
12 fucking party members that are each min-maxed to hell using different builds that are like way too good for what I'm going through. I was considering doing an honor mode playthrough, which is the hardest difficulty,
Is it the
one
one where you
save
can't
that
reset
is
or
you
anything?
can't save. Yeah,
Okay,
you
yeah.
can't save.
It's only autosave.
Or yeah, all autosaves. And if you die, then it's game over.
Yeah, it seems
Save is erased, which it
I don't like that.
seemed like an interesting challenge that I might want to do.
Yeah.
But honestly, I just wanted to play through the story again and enjoy it. So
Yeah.
I just went tactician or
Rather
whatever.
than like stress over literally fucking everything.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, what else is there to say? Game's fantastic. One of my favorite games of all time. Just so much fun. So much fun.
Yeah, this is one of my favorites also, and I played it on my old laptop, which I've thrown in the dumpster. I haven't. I still have it. But I would like to go back to this on the better setup that I now currently possess. To like the game like would run and I could play it, but it was super held back by the limitations of the device I was using. So it would be nice to just
I can
use
imagine
this
it-
and like have the graphics on high quality and have the frame rate be nice.
And just enjoy it.
That
Yeah.
would be nice. But like even despite all that, like when I had the worst setup, like I loved this game. I thought it was so
Yeah.
awesome, and just like it's not perfect in terms of like the narrative design of like the when you pass fail skill checks or like whatever, and how the I don't know. It just it's weird when it comes to that sort of stuff. But I think overall like the party members are so solid in terms of characters and like their personal stories and stuff they go through. It's like. Yeah, it's really awesome, and it's a great like sort of D&D sandbox that also balances the Dungeons and Dragons game better than like the people who even made it. So like that alone is enough to like appreciate it for.
Just extremely
and
impressive.
And they've like made updates to it with like the new subclasses and like various other like entire new events that they've added to like towards the game and quality of life updates over time. So it's nice to see the game is still given life through the devs, Larian Studios.
Mm-hmm.
So I do want to go back to this. It seems like an epic time.
Yeah, definitely recommend like a different playthrough or like a different character.
Yeah, very
much worth it.
All right, I got the 2 more games to discuss, and so one of them is a game that I'm utilizing on my new computer desktop setup, which is really cool and epic, and I have a really nice computer now, which I did not previously for the longest time. Like I sort of briefly mentioned earlier, like that's what I've been playing Outer Wilds and Dredge on. But they don't really utilize the hardware to its biggest capabilities. No. The actual thing that would utilize and flex the systems of one's computer is actually 3DS emulation, definitely. When it came to Fire Emblem Fates, when I was playing that, I was also playing that on my laptop, and it would lag a lot on that. Which wasn't the best. Like I would turn off combat animations and I would just like skip past that or whatever. But it's nice to have access to a device that just doesn't have all that bogus going on. So I ended up doing because I just can't help myself when it comes to replaying these games over and over again. I ended up going back to Fire Emblem Awakening. Based upon those, I had watched that YouTuber Ellery, the videos on the Fire Emblem Awakening Lunatic Plus guides, and it inspired me not to go after Lunatic Plus because you have to beat the game on Lunatic first, but instead to go at it at Lunatic mode difficulty, which I had never done before for this game. I've largely stayed away from it. And doing so now, it's actually fairly doable, I think, overall. The first chapters are pretty rough, the first, couple of them. But eventually the game gets to a point where, things become a little bit more open. You are able to sort of get certain characters into certain builds by a certain point, and you're just able to go from there. And, yeah, I absolutely adore this video game. I owned it, if you could believe it, on my 3DS. The thing is, I tried going back to that maybe last year or 2 years ago, and I would play it on my 3DS, and it would get to one of those pre-rendered 3D cutscenes, and I would watch it, and it would just crash. Just straight up, just partway through some of that. And one of those 3D cutscenes take place after a stage. So I was watching the cutscene after the stage completed, and it just fucking crashed. So I had to redo the whole map again. And just from that point on, I had to skip every single one that came after that. So that was annoying. So just to avoid that and be able to record gameplay footage in general, I'm gonna want to now play these games over computer. I already own the fucking thing. I've already played it for hundreds of hours on the 3DS. I just want it to to actually work and function, and I could just play it versus I could theoretically buy a new 3DS system, but whatever. I already own it. I've already played it. I'm not gonna buy the whole shit again just to do all of that. And yeah, I love this video game. It's what got me into the series, which is one of my favorite series as far as video games, though. Even though I've only played 5 of them, or excuse me, I've only beaten 5 of them, or so. I've played maybe 8 or 9, but I've only beaten 5 of them, I think. So that's interesting. If you include Fates as one thing, if you take all of Fates games, put them into separate things, I've actually beaten 8 of them.
And I mean, how many times have you replayed each of those games?
A good amount. For Fire Emblem Awakening, it was one that I beat a few years after it came out, maybe 10 years ago now. And I beat it on normal mode because I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I did it on casual, and I beat the game, and I was like, "Holy shit, that was awesome!" And I just immediately replayed it. It was the first, and I think still only game so far in my life where I've ever done that, where I've beaten the game and then immediately just went in and did it all again. And I think the second time I did it on hard mode. I did like male protagonist first, and then second playthrough I did like the female protagonist. I did the thing where I auto married Crom without wanting to, because that's a very common and easy
It's
thing
kind
to
of
do
difficult not
if you
to.
choose
Yeah.
female Robin. But yeah, this game is so awesome, man. It's so sick. It's just basically like the series is dying, and they're like, oh, fuck, what do we do? Well, let's just put everything into one basket. Let's just push out one more banger. Let's go all out. Just create like this crazy sandbox of a game. It's sort of almost what it really is. It's just letting you like fuck around when it comes to like, especially the DLC maps that let you just go absolutely nuts with money and experience, which I've tried to been keeping that to a minimal amount. I have used the grinding maps like a couple of times to just get a particular skill onto like for the child units and stuff just by a certain point, because you recruit Lucina at the end of chapter 13. I tried my best to give Sumi a promoted Falcon, or not Falcon Knight, Dark Knight, to give Gale Force to her, but she was just like a couple levels off, so I just like did that to guarantee that on her, and that's pretty much it. They do unfortunately do the child units kind of dirty in this, and the way Fates handles it is much better with the like scale towards the level based on like which in like main game story chapters you've beaten thus far. Meanwhile, in Awakening, they have like such a shitty starting point where they all start at unpromoted level 10. And it's like, how the fuck do you catch that up? It's like it's so difficult, because by that point, by the like time you even get the first one, Lucina, like she's already so far behind everybody else probably, like who you've been using in your army so far. So I think they did the child units a bit dirty in this one. They were just still figuring it out. Narratively, they're better than Fates, like they fit into the story better, but mechanically I think Fates did a better job weaving them in and balancing them, like just sort of making them usable, but it's just sort of different overall. And yeah, I've been enjoying Lunatic so far. Overall, like again, in the beginning it's pretty difficult, but eventually it's quite nice now, and I got a good thing going. I ended up marrying Lissa, not because I actually care about her. I just wanted to be Owain's dad because I really like him.
Yep.
So I thought it'd be cool being Owain's dad, and I am. And it is cool. It's cool raising that man up. And he took all of his personality traits from me, definitely. I intentionally gave myself blonde hair to try to make myself look like him. So it's the canon. I am his father, or whatever. So yeah, it's a really fun game when it comes to that, like pairing units up and like who marries who to like get the right child unit and stuff, and planning things out for like the personal course of the character. Like again, Fates I think leans into that a little bit better, but this game just lets you sort of go all out, where just characters could get so overpowered. Like the pair up system in this is just so nuts. Like, oh my god, they did not play test this game. It just lets you go crazy with certain things and strategies, and it's a very fun game overall. I've been mostly paying attention to the story, which I've already experienced like 10 times or some shit like that. And it's a good story, I think, overall. It has highs and lows. Definitely better than Fates, again, to compare it directly to that. And the characters, the cast, I really like. The music is awesome. The music is so sick, and I think it's a very nice looking 3DS game generally. When it comes to like the 3D models are a bit whack. They got the like the no feet thing or whatever, where it's just like peg legs. All the 3D models have or whatever. The pre-rendered cutscenes though look really nice. The style of them is so great. I don't know why in Echoes they sort of abandoned that for like a weirder. Not weirder, but just like different and, in my opinion, slightly worse style, even though that game has like one of the best 2D art styles ever. They make the pre-rendered cutscenes in that look not as good as the ones in this. These ones are awesome for the 3DS standard. So, but yeah, it's enjoyable going back to this game. Oh yeah, I fucking hate the way they do reinforcements in this. Like, fuck you. Don't spawn over my ass and then kill everybody. Like, in my opinion, the right way to play this game in the modern day is just look up like the reinforcement spawns for each map and then like plan ahead of like, oh, okay, they're gonna come from here, so I gotta be at this point, this distance away from them, so that this character is not in line of them. This character, meanwhile, is. So it just creates like a slightly different way of playing it. Like, but it's still annoying though, and I think it's definitely leads to a not as fun experience in terms of like the reinforcement specifically compared to like Fate probably has the best version of reinforcements, at least from the games that I've played that I could recall. Engage does similar things, but it has too many triggered based on rather than turn count. It has turn count ones, but it also has too many like based on certain conditions of like map positioning. Like when you put a unit here, fucking spawn 20 dudes. It's like stop, don't fucking fuck me in the ass and like my entire switch like that, please. Just don't do that. And this game doesn't have that thing going on. But it does just have the instantaneous, they show up in the fuck you in the ass, which again in real life is probably what would happen, but as a video game it's not too fun. So there's that, and I think that's the main sort of negative thing. But again, it's just you can approach it differently. Just look up in advance when they spawn, who's spawning, and then out like calculating how much movement like shit they have to like know where to position people. But overall, like still despite that, I'd say it's quite doable on Lunatic, like if you do know the game and what you're doing. So I'm most of the way through this. I still have a couple chapters to go, but looking forward to doing the rest of that, and then hopefully Lunatic Plus maybe in the future if I ever decide to end my life by doing that, the hardest difficulty in any Fire Emblem game or something. But I like Lunatic so far is what I'll say, in order to not jinx my future endeavors with this game that I really love. So yeah.
That's good to hear. I still have yet to do any of the extra difficulties beyond, hard or normal on any of the Fire Emblem games, but
they're pretty cool.
I don't have the dedication like you do.
I'm sure you could get into it. I mean, like the Engage maddening was pretty tough, but I had the DLC to sort of offset that. But also some of the DLC maps were the hardest in the game, so it's like it was that sort of weird balance of like I play a much more difficult section of the game to make other difficult sections slightly less difficult. It's sort of like a weird balancing act there. And meanwhile, like Awakening, if you have the DLC, it's so the difficulty is so customizable, because like if you're having a slightly hard time, you just put like a few levels into a couple dudes, and then like the game is like suddenly way easier. So it's very precise, and you have to know the game relatively well to like not completely break it if you are struggling. But if you can find that balance, I think it's a really, really fun time to have overall. So I recommend replaying games that you've played, and like again, like difficulty options in games are really nice for the sake of replayability. And often Fire Emblem games are replayable enough, even maybe if they didn't even have those, just in terms of like the character setups you could sort of have, and like which characters you use and don't use, and within the context of this game, like which classes you put them onto, as well as which other units you pair them up with. And so I think it makes for a fun combination overall of just like a lot of things that the series does. It does in this game quite well.
Definitely agree. Is that the end of your game section?
Sorry, I was drinking water. You cannot see me. No, I have one more thing to speak of that is also an anime silly thing. There was a demo for a game that's coming out this month, but I played it last month. And it's the demo for Trails in the Sky First Chapter, which is the remake of Trails in the Sky FC, which stands for First Chapter. And this is a remake of the first game in the Sky trilogy of the Trails overarching series, which is a very big and long, large series of long JRPG video games that are like these turn-based game things that emphasize story and characters and world and the interconnectedness of each of the games, where the idea is like you'll play through one series, like one sub-series within this overarching series, and then you jump to another one, and it focuses on a different set of characters in a different part of the world, but maybe similar times to the other sub-series you just played. and
Hmm.
you'll
Mm-hmm.
encounter characters that you've encountered in the other games, but you see like a different side of them, learn a different perspective about them, get a different context to sort of the actions they've performed, maybe learn about a similar historical event that you did in the other games, but it's contextualized also in like a different way, and just like the the games on their own are good, but when you put them all together, they put like this just like very specific and unique perspective on literally everything that the games do, and it's really cool in that way. The only caveat is that you have to play all of these very long JRPGs that like are very similar in terms of gameplay. This one though I think is quite nice in terms of modernizing the systems that I've encountered, because I've played a part of the original game, only a small portion of it, maybe like the first quarter or so I've played. And I sort of dropped it eventually, just wasn't sort of doing the thing which I was hoping it to do, which was, I don't know, making me entertained in all the ways I would hope for a video game to do. And the demo of this, I think, takes great steps ahead. I think a lot of hardcore fans of the series might look at this transition to 3D and be like, the 2D graphics are nicer, they're more charming, and like I've already seen people complain about the like 3D model, like facial animations compared to like there's the portrait art that you would be given in like the game, and how it like people are saying it has like less personality somehow, or but like I don't know. I feel like the exact art style the original game had needed just like a bit of an update, and it would be like perfectly good. And that's exactly what this game does. It's looks great in 3D. I think you can make the argument that it looks like a last gen game, and I could definitely just see myself playing this on PS4, even though I'm playing it on PS5. Like I feel like the only difference would be like the frame rate of that, but like graphically, it definitely feels like something that's a little bit behind. But I also feel like a lot of Falcom, like the game maker people, like a lot of their stuff is sort of visually just like that. It's like that. It's going to be a little bit less intensive. It's not going to be like the coolest, most beautiful video game of the decade type stuff, but it's going to be good, right? It's not going to be bad at all. So like I don't really feel understand why people need to complain about that sort of aspect of it. The voice acting, however, for the English dub was something I was not into at all, which is very rare for games. Like I feel like we've come a long way with game dubs across like as far as like localizations of like Japanese media within the past like 10, 15 years, to the point where like most anime and video game dubs nowadays are good when it comes to like the most popular, like I don't know if enough money is put into it. And the dub for this I just could not get behind, so I I swapped to the sub, the Japanese audio pretty early on, which is unfortunate. It's just I don't know, it just happens, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes. So that was unfortunate, but the game is really cool when it comes to the gameplay of it, because the original is just it's like a top down sort of isometric. Is that the term where like you move on diagonals rather
Yeah.
than like up and down? Okay, cool. Yeah, so it's like a top down isometric 2D thing. Um, and there's like enemies in the overworld, and you like go up to them, and it transitions into the turn-based stuff. And in this, you're moving around 3D, and it sort of has like a metaphor refantasio sort of way of doing things, where you're like doing some action-based stuff beforehand, and then you could like knock them out, and it can then transition into like a preemptive strike almost sort of thing, where you like are hitting them in the overworld and action-based combat stuff, and then you transition into the turn-based combat, and the transition between them is very seamless visually as well as mechanically, and it's a very nice game when it comes to running away from battle. Like for some reason, most video games that are like in this genre of games, just like RPGs, or it might be a JRPGs thing specifically, I'm not sure. But a lot of games really, for some reason, want to make running away super difficult. But in this game, it's the easiest thing ever. It's just that like you hold down a button and it transitions you out of the turn-based mode into just like you're in the overworld again, running around, and like the enemies will like still attack you immediately, but you can just open up the map and teleport somewhere, or just run the fuck away. Like it's really easy to get in and out of combat in this game, which I really appreciate, because I feel like most games just make it really difficult. Like the original, it was hard to avoid enemies, and it was hard to even get like the preemptive sort of thing on enemies, because they had to like not notice you, and you had to get them when they were facing away from you specifically, which is like from what I could remember correctly was sort of a pain. But like getting in and out of combat in this game is so nice. So I think it's a good step in setting this version of it sort of ahead of the older version of it. It does this thing where like there will be it'll like transition from like cutscene to just like normal gameplay stuff, where it goes to widescreen for when it's doing the cutscene stuff. And for some reason the subtitles, when there's they have like two lines of dialogue appear on screen, the second line of it will overlap with the border of the screen versus the black bar at the bottom. It'll like go halfway between that. It's just sort of weird. Not a detail that anybody will care about besides myself, but I felt the need to mention it because I just like put it like slightly higher to like offset it. Like, well, why have it overlap on the black bar on the bottom? That's not how anything works. You put everything above that shit. Anyways, so that was weird. I don't think they've watched movies, the people who did the UI for this game. Oh yeah, so this game features what I consider to be live dialogue. I don't know if there's an actual technical term for this, but a lot of JRPG games, they love having the characters talk and say words across the entire game. That's actually why I did not like Outer Wilds too much, because I was just like on my own, and there's like no anime girl yapping at me over some random stuff and like saying the same like phrase over and over again. I was like, I got it, I did it, go you, like what like doing their like saying their moves, attack, like hit, whatever. And so sometimes when you walk around even in these games, you'll get like it's not like a cutscene, it's not like lines of dialogue that you like a text box appears and you mash A to get through. It's just sort of something that happens over the course of you just like going around, and characters will start talking. Dialogue might appear, but you can't like skip through it or anything. Like the Persona games will do it. I'm drawing a blank, and like whatever other ones will do this sort of thing. But whenever I encounter something like that, it's like a really annoying process. Like Persona specifically, if those things appear, like these automatic discussions appear, it's so easy to have them interrupted by something. Where like in Persona, it'll appear in mementos, like characters will just start talking to each other, and then I open a chest, or I start combat with an enemy, or I transition from one area to another, and it'll just like it'll just essentially skip that whatever dialogue was happening, and like just skip it entirely. And it's really hard to avoid that sometimes, because sometimes I'll be like approaching an enemy, and I'll be right behind it ready to do like the preemptive strike thing in Persona, and I'll be there and about to push the button, and then a character will start talking, and either I will have the reaction time to move away from the enemy and let the dialogue thing play out so I get just fucking experience that, or I go straight into battle without like being able to react enough, so I just essentially like missed out on the conversation that was triggered for randomly for some reason. And in this game is really nice, because from what I experienced, those types of conversations will just carry through regardless of what you do. Like if you go into combat, if you like transition from one area to another, like if you go through a loading screen, like any types of those things, it will just keep playing through, which I think is really nice. I did not test out to see if interacting with NPCs would interrupt it. I imagine it would. Or like if you go up to a shop and like try to start buying stuff, it would probably interrupt that also. I did not test that out. But anyways, I think that's a cool thing that, again, I'm probably the only person thinking about that. But anyways, and then another thing that is pretty cool about the series at large that it does is it has this thing called high speed mode, where like JRPGs can be very repetitive very often, and you could get into battles where you're basically utilizing the same strategy over and over and over again, or even like you're just walking you're doing something basic, like you're just walking from one place to another, in the very repetitive motion, you're backtracking, like whatever might have you. Um, and this series is aware of that, and it's like, well, here's an in-game thing to just speed up fucking everything from the character like movement speed in the overworld to the combat animations to the just like every animation in general, whether you're in a cutscene or just like in the overworld, whether it's the characters or NPCs, like just the whole world is sped up. The speed of the text which it displays, just everything could be set on like this sort of times two, I think, is what it sets to, or it might be even faster than that, which is usually only something you're gonna get if like you're emulating a thing. So it's nice if the game just like comes packaged with that. So I think that's something quite cool that the series at large has done. Like I think this was in the original. It was at the very least in Trails of Cold Steel, which is the only other game in this overarching series which I've played, which I have been meaning to go back to that sub-series, since I did enjoy the first game of that at least more than I did the original Sky FC. But I do look forward to. I probably will pick this one up eventually. I don't think it's a day one purchase for me necessarily. But it was quite nice. It was mostly every single part of the game so far was something I had already done in the original, because it was just a demo. Which, I mean, speaking of the demo in this is quite substantial. It lets you play through the first chapter, which may not seem like much, but I got like 10 hours out of it. It's like doing the story and like whatever, most of the optional stuff that was important. So it's quite the substantial demo, honestly, and I'd say it's.
Are each of these games as long?
Like they vary.
Hours or so?
They can be like 40 hours. They could also be like 70. So it depends sort of on the sub series.
Okay.
Like I think this transition to 3D, it might be taking longer than the original. I'm not really sure. But they should check out to be somewhat similar in length overall. Yeah, Trails of Cold Steel, the first one of that definitely took me. I mean, I could check Steam. It was probably like 80 or 70 hours. Yeah, 77.2 hours is what I have on Steam. So they could be long, and there's a lot of them.
And there are like how many per sub-series?
I'd say like three or four on average, and there's probably like 4 or 5 sub-series in this. I think, if I had to guess. Because the other thing these games emphasize quite well is the not just interconnectivity between the worlds, like across each of the games, but just like in each game, they have really, really strong NPC interaction. Like some of the best NPCs in games can be found. Like I feel like in these games, where like even in Cold Steel, I was sort of noticing this before going to the interwebs and seeing what people had to say about these things. Like the NPCs are very detailed and very well thought out, and in this game you start off in like sort of this small town area where like literally everybody knows each other. So when you talk to people, they're like, oh my god, hey, person A and person B. Like they know the characters you're playing as, and it feels like a real interaction you're having rather than just like a glorified tutorial or like whatever that you might normally get in other things. So just to see that level of detail of like almost every single, like in the starting area, pretty much like knows who you are and is like interacting with you on like a friendly level. And like over time they have this sort of small stories that might connect from one thing to another. And to see like over time how their dialogue changes and how they just like, it's really cool, honestly. And they had that in Cold Steel as well. And across the series as a whole, it's something they do really, really well. So, yeah, they're a series worth checking out. It's just very, very hard to get into because each of the games are long and slow, and there's a lot of them. But it's sort of like the biggest snowball you could roll up as far as these sort of JRPG series goes. Or like the investment you put into them is just that much greater if you can actually invest the time within them, which I have not. I've only played and beaten one of them, so. There's that, but I probably will check out this one, and at the very least, I'll go back to Cold Steel soon. Since again, that was a game that I was prevented from going back to because of my PC setup or lack of one. Because for some reason I bought it on Steam because that's what I on the first one on, which like my computer could run that fairly well. Like it wasn't like the most requiring game. ever, but I feel more incentivized to go back to it now versus before when I had a worse setup. So, anyways, this was a cool demo though. It was really, really nice.
Cool. I like the idea of those sorts of interconnected worlds that you get to uncover piece by piece. I felt similarly about the Remedyverse games, where each game is taking place in the same world. So yeah, so you kind of get pieces in each that recontextualize everything you knew, which is very satisfying. You feel the same way about Brandon Sanderson's stuff and other interconnected universes like Stephen King's. They're very satisfying. But this one is maybe the most intimidating that I've heard of.
Just 100%. Because the time intensity into it, like it's so big and so long. Like these video games, man.
Yeah. So I would say that I'll probably check them out, but honestly, that might be something that I do in like 50 years when
I know it's like I don't even know if I'll have the time for like there's like 20 of them or some shit, and they keep making more. It's like just slow down.
That's exactly like what the
fuck. Yeah, there was a new one that just came out either this year or last year for like one of the other series still going. Anyways. Yeah. At least, at the very least, I want to get through the Cold Seal ones because that's the one I started and I like the first one of it. So, we'll see from there though. All right, music section. Your turn to speak.
Music section. This month was an excellent month. So there's a lot to go through. I'll try and kind of speed through these. First recommendation: JID comes back with another album called God Does Like Ugly. Just classic rap from him. He's one of my favorite rap artists, honestly. Such a great lyricist. He can write a flow like no one else. Great production. One of my favorite rap albums of the year by now, for sure. New album from Ethel Cain, Willoughby Tucker, I'll Always Love You. A bit of a prequel to her previous album, Preacher's Daughter. This one is more in line with that kind of her earlier, more kind of spacey dream pop stuff, but with a lot more slowcore elements. A slow album, very melodramatic and melancholic, but very pretty nonetheless. New album from Racing Mount Pleasant, their self-titled Racing Mount Pleasant album. Pretty underground music group that I just came across this year, but they do some really great stuff. Their previous album, Grip Your Fist on Heaven Bound, is also really good. I would recommend that. But this one is just a really interesting blend of chamber pop, art rock, and post-punk stuff that leads to some really grand and longing and kind of really beautiful instrumental builds throughout, and really dramatic song structures that are really engaging. Really enjoying that album. Another album from Dijon, who has been on the up-and-coming circuit recently. He was, I think, a producer on the newest Justin Bieber album. He had some production credits on the new Bon Iver album. Him and McGee have really been kind of taking the world by storm in their really unique blend of homespun styles, like lo-fi indie instrumentation with more classic pop and R&B and rock kind of influences. But really like the new album called Baby. It's a really solid project from him again. Just a interesting, unique blend of R&B and psych stuff and soul. He blends his influences in really unique ways and leads to something very recognizable. Once you kind of get a feel for who Dijon is as an artist, you might start recognizing his production style across many new songs that are coming out in the mainstream, just because his production style is pretty much what a lot of people are becoming interested in, and he's getting a lot of clout through that. But the new album, very good as well. Would recommend that. Another new album from Joey Valence and Bray, Hyper Youth. Really enjoyed their last album, No Hands. and this one is just a really nice follow up. Uh, Sees them going in some different directions, more a lot more looking at their influences beyond just hip hop. They have a lot of MGMT love and Daft Punk and other club stuff. They reference Gaga a ton, but it's more kind of indie and less braggadocious at some points. Maybe not as immediately catchy as No Hands for Me, but still a really enjoyable project from them. Very excited to see whatever they do next. New project from artists that I just found called Deki Alem, Forget in Mass. This is a really interesting blend of trip hop styles with hip hop and R&B, stuff that makes me think of what's the band? Gorillaz, and also other down tempo stuff like that. Really kind of great production, nocturnal and kind of dirty, but really catchy as well. Definitely would recommend for a bit of a shorter project. And another album coming out from Wolf Alice called The Clearing. Enjoyable sort of soft rock stuff with some grander instrumentations and even more kind of funkier stuff that they got into with this album. Very pretty, great production, great vocals and songwriting. Very consistent band from that I've really come to like a lot, and this is a great addition to their discography. And this album from Nourished by Time, The Passionate Ones, is shaping up to be one of my albums of the year. I am loving this album more and more and more. Every time I listen to it, it's just continuously, endlessly catchy. It's a very kind of strange blend of pop and R&B, but with these hypnagogic elements that are kind of stolen from 80s production styles. It really blends together in such a unique way to create a production style that it really is unlike any I've heard, but it's still so extremely catchy, great melodies, great songwriting, just something that is constantly melodic and really kind of funky and groovy. Really could not recommend this album enough. I've been a big fan of his stuff for a while now, and this is, I think, his best project yet, and excited to see whatever he does next. Another album to point your way, the new Earl Sweatshirt album, Live, Laugh, Love, is fantastic. Another one of my favorite hip-hop albums of the year. This one more of an abstract lane, very kind of strange and loopy and off-kilter, but also with Earl's kind of deadpan delivery. It kind of just creates this almost meditative and psychedelic nature to the music that kind of just like keeps you in an endless groove. It's really interesting. Love the production and all of the beat choices. I think it's one of his best albums in a while. Very pleased with that one. Similar comeback from the band Deftones. Private Music is the new album, and it's their best in a while. I think it's a great alt metal and shoegaze oriented album. Very heavy, with some great production and like really solid beats and guitar work. Their vocals also fantastic. Still holding up even after like 30 years almost at this point. Very impressive comeback from this band. And finally, album to point your way from Blood Orange, Essex Honey. This one is, he's going back into his more pop-oriented bag, but it's a really interesting blend of collaborators. A lot of the features on this album are really studded and really run the gambit from across multiple different genres or different music collaborators. Pretty impressive, and I'm really enjoying it. Very kind of gentle and introspective, with a bunch of different production styles and song structures. really interesting, and something I would recommend. But that takes us to the end of the music section.
God damn.
Mm-hmm.
All that shit came out of last month?
All of it came out this past month.
Wow.
It really was stacked. Like more 8s or above out of 10 than I have given in quite a while in 1 month.
Yeah. God damn. How many times do you listen to each of these albums? Like more than once per?
Oh, yeah. The JID one, I listened to a ton when it came out.
That's a lot of music.
I've probably listened to each of these albums at least 4 times.
Wow. Now that's a lot of music. Meanwhile, I got nothing.
It's a lot of music.
I got no music,
Yeah.
except for the ones playing in my head constantly that I make up.
The voices.
The voices. What are you talking about? It's just completely normal. Anyways, the books. I got none of those either. You think I read?
Hell no. But I do.
Oh,
I read, TikTok romances. The book I read was The Love Hypothesis by Ellie Hazelwood. And I first heard of it through, just like it mentioned amongst many TikTok romances. Never checked it out, but, book club, you got to do what you got to do. And it's
is this the Star Wars?
This is the Raylo fanfic. Yeah. Yep. Which I was not aware of when I first started the book.
You weren't aware based on the cover?
I guess I should have, put 2 and 2 together. But yeah, it's very funny reading through it with that context. I got to about the halfway point before I figured that out, and I finished it. It's a romance, it's, kind of classic, goofy.
Yeah, it's no
you got to suspend your disbelief. It's certainly not no Pride and Prejudice. It's kind of a funny premise, though. It's like, if you fake dating, really, obviously, like, the book tries to be super meta about this, where it's like the characters are referencing other rom-coms and other media properties where you have your fake dating that goes inevitably to real dating, and it's kind of annoying, honestly, how meta it tries to be with, like, wink wink nudge nudge, this is a rom-com, but like I recognize that all the rom-com tropes are so goofy that it wouldn't play out like that, but it does, and it's not really that deep, and the characters aren't that interesting, but the situations are more funny than anything, which is why, honestly, I didn't hate this book. It's okay. Yeah, a little above average, just in terms of entertainment value that you get out of it.
So what, they're scientists?
They're scientists. So the gimmick is that there's this, student that's trying to get into her doctorate, a doctorate student, and she ends up kissing this random professor.
Rose.
It's in order to fake a romantic relationship because her friend is trying to date her ex, but doesn't want to date the ex because she is worried that she's still hung up on him. So she's trying to fake a relationship so her friend will go out with her ex. Yeah, so that's the gimmick. It's you got to suspend your disbelief to some extent, to a large extent, because these are professors and doctorate students that we're talking about that cannot have coherent relationships between them, but that's okay because it's a romance book. It's fiction. It's basically and it's fanfic. So
it's literally a fan fiction.
Because the professor that she kisses is actually like, he's actually like the most genius person at the school. He's actually also like the edgiest. He's the bad boy because he's really harsh on all of the grad students and he doesn't let anyone pass. His grades and his admissions are harsher than anyone, and no one really likes him.
He's the biggest dick on campus.
He's really big. He's huge, and he can play frisbee. And his hair and his long nose.
He doesn't reveal that to most people.
Yeah, and he's force sensitive. I mean, he can do it all.
Jump 10 feet high.
It's very funny. have read a decent amount of these romances before now, I guess, through, book club and other things.
Hell yeah.
And this one is
Is one of
pretty
them.
middle of the road to a little above average, just because how goofy it can get. But, I wouldn't recommend it to you, Drew, but to your
No?
other listener,
You know what?
maybe.
Check out the Kylo Reddit rate
Yeah,
fanfiction.
yeah. You have other things to check out. Whenever
I
you
still
do
have
read,
at least
your
another
limited
book to
reading.
read.
Yeah. I'm sure you got other things to worry about.
Yeah. Was that it? You got more books?
Nope, that's the
Oh, that's the
only
only
book I've
book.
read. Yeah.
All right. Well, we get transitioned into the YouTube section, which I have a couple things to shout out because our followers, our YouTube listeners, can like the other people who I'm about to mention can definitely benefit from all of the people who listen to us to go and like check out their shit and like basically boost their entire fucking algorithm for these people who are way bigger than us. There's this dude Nakey Jakey. He's a YouTuber, which you're aware of him, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Love Jakey.
he's one of the greats in my opinion. And he has this second channel called Nakey Jakey's Ball Pit. And recently he did like this 2-episode video series where he breaks down his top 20 favorite PlayStation exclusive games of all time. And it's 3 hours long in total. And if you're looking for something additional beyond this podcast to sort of play a YouTube video in the background, then I think these 2 videos will do excellently. It's just basically him breaking down the PlayStation games he really likes and appreciates, and he thinks that the world at large also appreciates and really likes as well. And he's basically just doing it live over not Twitch chat, I don't think, but just YouTube. Directly through YouTube, I think, and also it's just basically like a Microsoft PowerPoint presentation that he puts together, and it's very nice though, like the style he has with it, and it's just a good set of videos overall to listen to. I think it's quite nice. And then also because I have a new cool computer PC setup, I got back into Team Fortress 2, which I never really dropped, but I'm just like more incentivized to like be playing it and like be more I feel like, I don't know, a little bit more involved in the going abouts of me playing it, because my god, I did not know that the game could look so beautiful on a good setup. But anyways, I gotten back into it. I guess I've been watching a lot of TF2 YouTube in the current age of 2025, which is an interesting time to be doing that. And there's this dude, Fish Stick on a Stick, and he has 2 playlists about TF2 weapons, mostly TF2 weapons. One called Bad Weapon Academy and one called Other Weapon Reviews. And they're just nice videos where he'll talk about a specific weapon from the game and think about like what it does, what's its purpose in like the game at large, what it pairs well with, what it can maybe do, what like a person playing with it can do well or fail to do well at. And then for the bad weapon one specifically, he'll give like some takes on like how it can maybe be improved, despite the fact that Valve no longer updates TF2 like that. So we're probably never getting game balances ever again, most likely. But anyways, they're still nice to have and to think about. So I recommend both of these plays. I think they're quite nice, even though most people probably in the modern day don't give a shit about Team Fortress 2. But if you did, you probably are already aware of these sets of videos. But if you are not, then I definitely recommend them.
Nice. Not a ton of YouTube on my end, although, part of the reason why I got back into Baldur's Gate 3 was I was on a bit of a D&D kick on YouTube. And, that meant that I had started rewatching, or I guess re-catching up on Critical Role. Only got a few episodes in. I'm still like 20 episodes behind. But, I'm slowly making my way through Campaign 4.
Oh, 4.
Yeah, or Campaign 3, yeah. But, that will be a lot to discuss once I eventually finish that. Yeah, we'll have another conversation on that. But when I was going through all my Baldur's Gate 3 gameplay, I was looking for builds, and one of my favorite D&D YouTubers, D4,
Yeah.
D&D Deep Dive.
Yes.
I love his Baldur's Gate 3 builds, and he did some stuff for the new subclasses. And honestly, I just really like watching his, his builds for base D&D
Yeah.
5e and other role-playing games. He just has really good explanations on what you do at each level, your different respec opportunities and everything. Very thorough and a lot of fun to use those builds in actual gameplay and, get to mix and match, elements from what you might want. And yeah, just use it as a guide print to create some pretty busted units.
Yeah, he's great. He's one of my favorite YouTubers in both the D&D space and just like in general.
Yeah.
Like he's the reason why I have this document that's I think almost 100 pages by this point of just like future D&D characters that I want to play, but probably never will. Just like
it's just a ton of fun
a lot of
you
combos
crafting how
he's
strong you can make something. Yeah.
It's really nice. I binged his channel a lot. I think last year and maybe the one before.
When you came to the table for our D&D session and you brought Booming Blade, I'm like, damn. I know one person who fucking loves that Booming Blade. It's so good, awesome. And it's so good in Baldur's Gate 3. Yeah. It's like the one cantrip now that I think it was.
Did they add it through the update, or is it
patch 8?
Oh, nice.
Yeah, no, it's just in game now, and it's just fantastic because it's more damage and more damage. It's just like guaranteed plus D4 of Thunder, and then also more damage if they move, which is just like insane.
Yeah. I could not recommend D&D Deep Dive enough for both the D&D content, like you said, and then also the Baldur's Gate 3 videos. He does a lot of really great builds for that, and he'll do like demos of them also, and he'll do like he has a couple that's like more character orientated towards like a specific the party members or whatever in game, but he just has a bunch of those also, which is
a ton.
Quite nice. So yeah.
And then I guess I can get on my soapbox. Bit of a sports update. NFL starting up soon. Okay. This weekend, first week. First week of matches of games.
Of what sort?
NFL.
Oh.
NFL.
You think I know?
Baby. But yeah, big trade things that you would not understand. But Micah Parsons, one of the greatest defensive players in the league, who was on the Cowboys, just got traded to the Packers, which is my team, and I am very happy.
The Cowboys is my team because
he
that's what the
he is exactly what we needed.
Is.
That you will show on screen team. When I talk about this.
Right now. The person, the viewer's looking at them.
But yeah, Micah Parsons, fantastic talent. Now he's on my team. Love to see that.
God damn.
Love to see that. It's actually insane. I don't know if you heard anything about the Dallas trade from the Mavericks with Luka Doncic earlier this year, but it's a very similar situation that Dallas teams find themselves in right now because the Cowboys just got rid of Micah without really getting anything out of it. It's a pretty bad trade for them, seemingly. We'll have to see because supposedly Micah's slightly injured, although he seems like he's still going to play this upcoming weekend. But yeah, it's just interesting times in the sports world. Groundbreaking trades are happening all the time this year, I guess, which makes for great content. But I guess we'll have to see how everything turns out in the next year or so. But that's about it for me.
Yeah, cool. That is it for me as well, and that thus closes the book of this episode, which is 13 or 14?
13.
13, god damn. All right, well, congrats on the 1 year of DrewPeter, and here's to another 10,000 years. So yeah.
Hell yeah.
Thanks for watching, and good night to you all.